we good?
We're good.
Is it working?
That's working fine.
Is everyone working?
Yes, everyone's working fine.
Okay, you ready?
One time I saw a ghost.
So we're here. We're here with Conrad Kreyling. Many of you may know him from the internet.
Yeah, our fans, it seems, it's weird. It's like people are, I guess they listen to our show when they say they're our fans, even though I tell them not to listen to our show. But all they want to hear on our show is people who aren't us.
Huh.
Like people who are on the show only once, like, you know, or a few
I get
times.
into a separate weird situation. If I had a listener not that long ago at an event say, wait a minute, you know Conrad? The guy from Johnny Wander?
Yeah, people will be like, oh man, the best episodes of Geeknights? How about, you know, Fast Karate for the Geeknights?
No, the
or
best.
the one where Emily.
What they
was
always
on?
say is the food episodes.
Okay.
We should do a show on food.
Sure. But anyway, so by popular demand, we have brought back
So Conrad,
the corn bed.
we've heard that you've seen a ghost.
One time I did in fact see a ghost.
What was it like?
Well, okay, you see, I was
Was it big and
I was trapped in a dungeon after an entire year of imprisonment. I spent it with a dragon. And finally, I escaped on a rowboat, and after about a year of drifting on the sea, I finally regained feeling in my legs.
Okay.
So I think Emily didn't realize until recently that every time you said that, you were referencing this thing that we're all.
She knew the
referencing now.
thing that you were referencing, but she didn't realize that the seeing a ghost was a reference to that thing.
Oh no, it's perfect.
It
Well,
is.
because what reminded me of the dragon was when you put it in the bio you gave me for our PAX Dev panel.
It was, yeah, that was on your
I looked
PAX
at that,
Dev
and you emailed me too. You were like, "Is it okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I went for it, and I put it up, and
It's in the book. Anyone can get the PAX Dev 2012 program and see. It
Thing
says
is,
right there, Conrad saw a ghost.
It's like wearing an Ogloff shirt. People who know, and nobody else is the wiser.
I should note that I also used that exact same bio for the Mobile Gaming Summit bio I had to submit, and that is an industry professional like situation. I had never been happier.
Did they printed it?
Oh yeah, they printed it.
Yeah.
I tweeted it. I was like, "This is the happiest day of my entire life." I'm so happy that I got a reference to Mark M.
Do we
stuck
know
in
who
this.
the guy is who made the
Oh
solid
yeah,
ghost?
Yeah,
it's
Sick
Mark M.
Animation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sick Animation.
Can we get him on the show?
Probably.
I would love to shake his hand with gloves on.
We should say something much more important, that our friend Kate, who usually yells at us for stupid shit on the internet, she is the one who showed us the dragon.
Exactly.
So it is her fault.
But yet she'd probably complain if you brought it up.
No, she would probably say, "Speaking of screen, can I have a little bit, please?"
Probably. Okay.
So you might remember years ago we were doing a Profiles in Geek, and then we kind of forgot to keep doing those.
But now we're going to keep doing them.
Because Conrad's here, and we didn't want to talk about cell phones again.
Even though everyone wants to hear about cell phones, it's just the same shit over
No,
and
guys,
over
it's
again.
easy. Buy an iPhone. If you don't want an iPhone, buy the old Nexus S.
Well, you
Don't
can
buy
buy
the
the-
Nexus S. The Nexus S is a pile of
You can get
crap.
the
the
next-
Samsung Nexus S.
Yes, the Samsung
You
Nexus
can get
S
the
with
Nexus
its disgusting
4,
screen.
but it's
Yeah.
gigantic.
You know what?
Otherwise, it's good.
That screen
but
is
it's sold
disgusting.
out.
But I point out that the majority. Look, I'm looking.
I'm
at,
limiting the cell phone discussion
Okay,
to
he's
3
right.
minutes.
He's
Okay,
right.
let's say this. Look at my monitor here. This is a Dell Ultra Sharp with a proper color gamut. The majority of people in the world don't know or care, and they'll buy a monitor that costs a quarter as much and say it looks better.
Yep.
Do you think any of those people need a better screen than this screen on my Nexus
I
S?
refuse to give
It's
money
a
to any
question-
company that ships Pentile Matrix.
It's a question of whether it's if it's better for you, but do you know it's better for you, right?
So when I tweeted about that, I tweeted something. I was like, nobody really understands color gamut, and they should, blah, blah, blah. And there's a Twitter account dedicated to color gamuts. And they retweeted me, and they emailed me, and they were like, you are one of the few people in the world who understands what we care about.
No, but I will go on record as saying that Anantech just did their write-up of the Nexus 4, and the Nexus 4 is this beautiful panel that has not been calibrated at all. They did not calibrate it in the factory, and they
that
said
thing
as much.
sold out like crazy, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, and Anantech was like, it's not even touched. Like
The
this
main
is
problem I
kind of
have with the
sad.
Nexus 4 is just it's gigantic.
It's huge, yeah.
If it was
that's
if
my
it was
only
this
reservation.
size or smaller, I'd probably
I know. I pulled out
consider
my,
it.
my Palm Pre a little while ago because I
It's
have
so
it.
small.
It's tiny.
It's the best size.
No, it's thick though.
yeah,
it
it's,
is
it
thick.
doesn't matter.
And
It's
it has
all
that
right.
physical
It's
keyboard, which while I still kind of miss physical keyboards, I'm done with
Yeah.
physical keyboards.
yeah, probably.
It's seriously
Nobody.
just-
There's very few people still.
I can
asking
still
for the,
type faster on my Pre than I
All
can
right,
on
you guys
this.
have 1 minute left on this.
I'm done.
Okay.
You done? All right, so what about Google Glasses?
They're not coming out yet.
They will someday. Did you see that new game, Ingress?
Yeah,
I saw
if you have
of
an
it.
Android phone, get it. But
No, it's
but why do you
a
have one?
closed beta.
Yeah, well, if you got to get in the beta.
Yeah, I tried. I even tried to pull rank and like, do you know who I am? And I got nothing.
Google doesn't. Yeah, Google. Do you know who I am? Some guy who uses our fucking thing and doesn't even give us
I do
money.
know a bunch of people at Google, and that has worked before. Scott, I got us into some of our early con
I got the
gigs.
fucking CR38 Chromebook thing, and I don't even use it. It just sits
Scott, I
there.
got some of our earliest con gigs by pulling the. Do you know who I am?
Sure. Anyway, let us move on.
That was when I wasn't even anyone.
Are we
still
gonna
am
do
not
news and
anyone.
things today, or are we
No.
gonna do those later?
Fuck that.
Okay. So let
It's
us.
Thursday. It's the lounge.
So let us profile the Conrad. So the Conrad, we met you in the college,
Yeah, that's right. You
but
guys.
we know very vague details of your pre-college.
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, I mean, our listeners don't
You
even
lived
know
in the
about
sticks,
our
right?
pre-college.
Of
Yeah,
New York,
well,
the
it's like-
super sticks.
Yeah, it's weird. My family moved all around New York State. So I was born in Buffalo, but then my family immediately moved as far north and as far east in New York State as you can go.
So
to this-
basically in Canada.
yeah, on the Canada-Vermont-New York border, on the New York side.
Okay.
It was in this tiny town called Rouse's Point. And some of my fondest memories as a child were going with my father into Canada for beer, Vermont for gas, and then back home where he would make me pancakes every Saturday. And
That
this
sounds like a really
This was
good
like a
Saturday.
really like formative memory I have. It was awesome. And then
I could definitely identify with that. That's good.
and so when I was 9, though, we moved to Lancaster, New York, a suburb of Buffalo, which is, I think, now why I could never imagine living in the suburbs ever again. Like, suburban wasteland sort of doesn't even begin to describe it. Like, we had to take the bus 45 minutes to get to the mall, which was the most exciting thing available
Yep.
to us.
You know,
Yep.
it's interesting because suburbs in the Midwest, especially like Southeast Michigan, like Northern Ohio, are not like that. They're suburbs, right? The same kind of thing you were living in, but they're so dense. There's a grocery store like every mile.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
I live near a
There's
grocery
mall.
store,
There's
and
like 5 minutes in any direction. You hit a
from my
mall.
house, the house I grew up in, which my parents still live in, you could walk to the mall or the grocery store. But now having lived in the city, I cannot tolerate being not in a city.
I can't tolerate
for very long.
I was talking to some of your friends, Conrad, at the party last night, and we were talking about like, imagine going to a restaurant in a car.
Ugh.
Right? Imagine if you needed milk, you have to get into the car.
Yeah.
What?
Now, to me, a car, actually, now that I don't need a car anymore, getting into a car is like this mystery time. Like, oh my God, we're going somewhere.
Where am I? Yeah, I feel like a dog, right? I'm like, a trip. I'm so excited. Like, it's almost embarrassing.
Right.
But yeah,
So being someone who lived in the sticks, how did you become all nerdy in technology?
Yeah, how'd you get your nerd on?
Dude, okay, so I mentioned that I lived up in this very small town called Rouse's Point. Despite it being a very small town, my father was very in line with the tech community there. So one of his best friends, John Rigby, actually ran a bulletin board system.
Whoa.
So I was on BBSs when I was like 4 and 5, and it was a big. I didn't
What
realize
kind of
at the time,
computer did you
course.
have then?
I believe it was a 386 at that time.
All right.
Wow, my first computer was a 486SX.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I missed the 486 line. We had that 386
Yeah,
for
the first computer that was
years.
in my house that wasn't a video game console was a 486 100 megahertz. So
Yeah, it was, and I used to like dial in with all those mysterious modem protocols that had those funny names
you
like
have multiple phone
Z-modem.
lines
Oh
going
my
on?
God.
We only had the one phone line.
Oh.
So despite the fact that I had, because back in the day, BBSs, you would have metered allotted time that you could be on so
Yep,
other people could dial in.
I used to go to this pirate BBS where you could download basically pirated versions of games.
oh, every BBS.
yeah. But you had to donate money to them, like by mailing them a check.
Oh, yeah.
And then you would get oxygen. And it had this underwater theme.
Were they running Space Trader on
And
there?
it was the underwater theme. And if you ran out of oxygen, you couldn't download any more stuff. And the analogy really didn't work that well.
No.
But yeah, so I had unlimited time on it. And it had Red Dragon, of course, like every BBS. And I spent a lot of time on that.
So that's the year you spent with the dragon.
That was my year with the dragon, yeah.
Bringing it back around.
So that was sort of my nerdy history. Otherwise, my father always had computers around the house. I was doing BASIC when I was, in kindergarten, and I sort of just stuck with it because, I mean, why not? Looking back on it, like it's really easy to look at that period of time and be, like, wow, how did I was just using Windows 95 all those years. Like, it's sort of a miracle thinking back on it. A, that we moved forward as a race.
Yeah, it's like I use like Windows 7 today, and it doesn't. And it's like one part of my brain is like, this isn't any different than Windows 95. But then I look at fucking Windows 95, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, remember when plug and play didn't even always work?
Well, we referred to it as plug and pray at the time,
Yeah,
sort of. jokingly. But, yeah, like it's really easy to look back on those times, in my opinion, and sort of marvel at how anti-competitive everything was and how it was like, well, if you need a computer, you have one choice. You go to the store and you buy a compact.
Yep.
And you run
In fact,
Windows and that's it.
I tried to go to
Like,
Gateway
wow.
and I really wanted Windows NT and they wouldn't sell it to me.
Yeah, and there was like that ray of sunlight that Windows 2000 was. It was like, oh, this is what a real multi-user operating system is like. But like, obviously,
I
it
didn't
never
get
gained a
that
lot
till
of
I got to
traction.
fucking RIT.
Yeah, I had Windows 2000 before I went to RIT.
I used 98 SE for a long time.
because I
Yeah.
cashed in all the bonds my grandparents gave me and I bought that AMD K7 800 with Windows 2000.
Dude, I bought a VIA chip.
Oh shit, son.
You and Greg Hartman.
I bought it with money that I made from my paper route. And I saved up for months to get this VIA chip. And I was so excited about having enough money to buy the VIA chip that I actually didn't have enough money to buy a motherboard. But it didn't matter. I was just excited to have
I
this new
saved up
chip.
$1,000 working at the dry cleaners in high school, and I bought a Pentium 3 450 with a TNT 2. I bought the TNT 2 the day it came out.
Did you remember when CPUs slotted in like
Yeah, there was a slot.
PCI
Well, they were
cards? Yeah.
sockets, then they went to slots, and then back to
Back
sockets.
to sockets. Yeah.
I never understood what the point of the slot was.
The
like,
point of the slot was that because you had more space on that board, you could put a shit ton of like L3 cache on there.
And it was actually thinking about the layout of a board. You could probably
Oh, and
make
it would
more
still be
space-efficient heat
ATX
dissipation.
standard, I guess.
Yeah, you get basically you'd have more space on the board. You'd have more space. You could put a bunch of memory in there, like caches and stuff. More L2, L3, which before then only existed on motherboards, I think.
It was a lot easier to put a computer together because you didn't have to deal with the freaking janky ass socket where you're gonna destroy
As
everything.
far as I've read, and maybe the only reason that we went back to sockets was that the chip, by only having this edge connection, there was a limited number of pins and a limited amount of bandwidth, and the physical distance started to matter.
Yeah, well, now the new thing they come up with is the pins are on the motherboard and there's contacts on the chip, and apparently that like reduces some heat or something. It's like apparently way better.
I mean, if you think about it, it makes the chips like more physically reliable, if nothing else, right?
Yeah,
We've all bent a pin on an athlon. Let's be fair.
You know how many
Everybody has done
athlons?
that.
Oh my god.
So I think the move back makes a lot of sense. I think it's smart, of course. I'm very excited about building my next computer. I have it all specced out, but I'm like really sort of nervous because Ivy Bridge is very good, but everything I read about Haswell is like land of milk and honey shit.
Well, because it's TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So Ivy Bridge was tick, and the next one's gonna be boom, big move.
You
think
can
that's the one I
never.
want, though, right?
Every time I've ever researched a computer, I'll immediately see like, oh, or there's a X millimeter process coming next. Oh,
Well, you
and
know-
there's always something next. You just got to just do it.
And well, like let's take NVIDIA cards for example. NVIDIA cards right now, the 660 Ti is this phenomenal piece of technology that I would throw down for that today. I would do it right now. If I
I got a
needed it.
680. It's crazy.
Oh, well, high roller, man. Like, but I mean, price performance, like it's such
Oh,
a
yeah.
compelling value, and it's so
That's what Emily got. She's actually
Heck
these
yeah.
computers, Emily's computer and my computer are identical, except she has a new video card, and I still have my GTX 260.
Oh, a 260.
You know what? Doesn't fucking matter because my computer's a fucking supercomputer. I can play Counter-Strike full FPS, NS2 full FPS.
Yeah, but
I'm
you're
not
Deus Ex
arguing.
Human.
I'm not
I can play NS2 full FPS vertical sync at full resolution with fraps running.
Yeah, I got vertical sync off.
Yeah.
I'm
Sync
gonna
is good
upgrade.
for
The
you.
reason I haven't upgraded is
Max
that
settings.
I want the Mercury playback engine to work in Premiere. Premiere supports a list, like 12
I enabled
individual-
even though I'm not on the list and it works
it's probably not actually working. How did you enable it?
with the checkbox.
That's not doing anything.
Okay.
If you're basically the Premiere looks at a string to see if the string for your video card is in a list. Otherwise, it does not enable GPU offloading of automatic like live rendering.
All right.
All
I'll
Adobe
send you a link
products
of
do
how
this.
you can add the string of your video card to the list, and pretty much any NVIDIA card after like a 300 series.
I'm pretty
will work
sure
fine.
mine will do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it will, but for some reason they won't certify it or whatever.
Whatever.
But that is
The
why.
episode's supposed to be about Conrad, not about video cards.
Well, hey, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I love the shit out of video cards.
Yeah.
Since I do 3D graphics programming now, I spend a lot
All
of
right,
time.
I'm limiting the video card conversation to 3 minutes.
I will say that NVIDIA and AMD need to get their shit together. Whoever's writing their drivers needs to fucking step
Yeah.
into high
Hey,
gear.
oh,
It's
All of our
funny though
crash
because
reports.
NVIDIA drivers for a long time
They
compared
were
to,
awesome.
Yeah, compared to any other
But
video card
now,
drivers.
lately they're getting flaky
They're
because
awful.
the competition has also always been flaky.
An unnamed source of mine that used to work at Microsoft reported at one point that 50% of Windows blue screen automatic filed bug reports are caused by NVIDIA drivers.
I've been getting blue screens lately.
If our user, we get so many support emails that are like, your game blue screened my computer. And I'm
it's
like,
too blue screen. And you know what? It happened when an Onos was stomping up.
so hard.
But it was clearly because of the video card.
Yeah. But I mean, to a degree, like it's kind of, for us, it's really frustrating because we're a small company and we want to treat our customers really well. And we're just constantly getting reports. It's like, well, I play every other game just fine. Why does your game blue screen?
That is a good question.
The problem is, you know what the answer is? Well, you probably don't actually play every other game just fine. You're probably...
because you made that one OpenGL call that no one else is making.
Well, and it's Unity, too. The problem is, since we do everything in Unity 3D, we're so limited in how much access we have to a lot of this stuff. And so we're sort of at their mercy. I think it's the way I want to put it.
I wonder if other Unity games would crash as much, you know?
Well, then there would have to be one.
Yeah.
But hey, the new Nintendo Wii U, you can write Unity games for it.
Oh, great.
Sure.
The Wii U is a quandary,
Nintendo
man.
will let you sell those
You know
on the
what?
store.
The Wii U came out this weekend, and I did not know that
Oh, I
until
didn't know
someone
that either.
posted on the forum.
Comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, someone on the
As
forum.
of this recording,
like-
so you've already got it out.
I won't have it.
I mean, anyone
likewise.
listening, it's already out.
It's like, Nintendo, way to be the one thing in my entire life that was constant and trusted without reservation, and to blow that.
Yeah, they blew it hard, too.
It took like generations of bad decisions for me to actually move from sight unseen to gonna wait and see.
Yeah, this one was particularly bad. I mean, when you're up at E3 showing footage of Call of Duty that you recorded on a PC talking about your next generation graphics, man, you really kind of have to consider where you are at, and then ship what is basically an Xbox 360 repackaged into Nintendo hardware. Man, they got to be desperate is the only thing I could think.
And yet they've got the controller, so they're doing what they should have done 7 years ago.
Yeah, easily.
Now.
Oh, well. So...
Do you play any video games, Conrad?
yeah,
I play
what games are you
video
playing
games.
right now?
Well, okay, so I'm playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer with everybody.
Really? How does that work?
It's
that
like horde mode in Call of Duty. So you survive waves of enemies. You complete mission objectives on every third wave.
Okay.
And I play it with Ananth and my girlfriend Rochelle, and we have a good time. And I also was playing Fallout New Vegas for quite some time, which it was the best of times and it was the worst of times.
I played it a little bit and then I stopped.
Yeah, I was impressed, obviously, with the world as ever, but towards the end of it, I felt like I was tiptoeing around the crash bugs or tiptoeing around the bugs that would delete my inventory.
I'm glad I didn't get that far. I had problems early on where it's like, I think in the first town there's like a robot, but I never talked to the robot. And then when I went to the second town, the robot was there and he acted like he knew me already. And I was like, I know you were in the first town because people talked about you, but I never found you. And why are you here now acting like you know me? Shouldn't we introduce first? And it is stuff like that. Whereas in the original Fallout 3 didn't have issues like that. You know, everything sort of I think they spent more time on making sure each person and character behaved appropriately and was in the right place.
Yep. Well, like when I remember the guy who wants to blow up Megaton.
Yeah.
When I met him the first time, I was like, "You fucker!" and I just punched him to death right there. And that plot just disappeared, never came up again. And I took his clothes and wore him for the whole rest of the game.
Yeah, I feel like Fallout 3 proper spoke in a more coherent voice throughout the game. I really do feel like New Vegas, although at times it was significantly stronger overall, I don't think it was as cohesive. It was still really good. Like, don't even get me wrong. I love that setting. I love those games.
I didn't like it, but it was because the primary joy I got from it was exploring the world and kind of seeing cool things like the ruin houses and everything. But the fact that it was actually so sparse and so generic, other than very tiny areas of content, that I kind of lost interest almost immediately.
Yeah, that was another thing, because Fallout 3 is like you come out of the vault, and then what?
And
So
I'm like,
it's-
oh
so
my God, look at that freeway over there. I'm gonna walk over to that.
Not only is it technologically open world, it's the plot is open. It's like Megaton is right there, obviously, but it's like you don't have to fucking go there first. It's like you don't, it's just you can see it there, so it's sort of a design choice. But you can just go anywhere, right? Whereas in Fallout New Vegas, it's definitely more of a linear, like go here next, dude. They're telling you where to go. Like hey, you should really go that way.
Yeah,
next.
more sort of a Deus Ex-y of the plot's over there. Whenever
Yeah.
you're ready, dude.
Yeah, I really do feel like that was a very intentional choice made on feedback from the first game, like in Fallout 3. I'd be willing to bet that they got a lot of feedback that was like, well, I just didn't know where to go. And so they probably doubled down on being easy, and in doing so probably punched that particular aspect of the game in the face, sadly.
So did you play the new Deus Ex Human Revolution? I guess it's not new anymore.
I did. I played Human Revolution.
Did you like it?
I did. I thought it was very good. Of course, this is another one of those cases where you're talking about design concessions from the first one. I think that the first one was more interesting in some ways. And also, the newest Deus Ex brought to light for me exactly how bad every modern stealth game is. I think is the way I want to put it. Every stealth game is bad. Yeah. Because I tried playing
Thief.
it. Except
maybe Mark of the Ninja.
Except for Thief.
Thief and nothing else.
Mark of the Ninja's 2D.
Thief Gold
Does a good job.
Thief Gold is also okay.
Yeah.
Thief 3 came for free with my Creative Graphics Blaster Extreme, I think, or some other video card I bought.
And using the old school glide drivers.
Yeah. Oh, glide, baby.
Dude, I remember when my friend Ken came over one day, he's like, I have OpenGL. We're going to play GL Quake.
I do love glide. It's like technological API or sex tool. We could make a fun game out of this, actually.
We should make a new standard to compete with them. KY.
Eufia.
Like Eufia. Everyone, does your video card support KY?
It better.
It's really hard to install
comes.
it in the case. It just keeps slipping out.
It was supposed to make inserting these cards easier.
No,
Nah, just the tip.
inserting the cables is easier.
But yeah, so Deus Ex. But I really liked the environment. I liked the world. I thought that they did a lot of things right about it.
In Deus Ex was much deeper feeling and more fleshed out, and all the interesting side bits were interesting, as opposed to Fallout 3, which actually. Well, I know it's a barren post-apocalyptic wasteland, but I was kind of taken aback at how barren it was, even like inside of town.
New Vegas, in particular, it's supposed to feel very sparse. Obviously, I think due to its
Desert
location. Yeah, exactly. It's in a desert, and so you're supposed to feel the gravity of this massive world.
And if there was an apocalypse, pretty much anywhere is going to be sparse, right?
Yeah, but and even in DC in Fallout 3, there were buildings and there were things, but it was extremely empty. And of course, that was part of the feel. And so you remove the buildings from the emptiness, and it's literal just
It'd be
empty.
like sort of how a universe and gravity takes over after all the other forces have neutraled out.
Entropy always wins. But yeah, so otherwise, I can't think of what I've really been. I've been playing a lot of my own game, Guns of Icarus, as you can probably
Why
guess.
don't we
Guns
talk
of
about
Icarus.
that for a bit?
Guns of Icarus is, to give you the most honest feedback I can give, actually fun. The fact that I play it at all in my rotation, my 10-year rotation of Counter-Strike, Sleep, and Natural Selection, the fact that I'm playing Guns of Icarus says a lot.
Yeah, and I am a very harsh self-critic. I will critique myself very strongly, but I'm actually willing to say that I'm very proud of the work that we've done on Guns of Icarus, and I think it's fun, and I like playing it. So it's just for those of you who might be listening and somehow haven't heard me talk about this on another channel, it is a steampunk airship combat game, and it's all small team-based, so you and 3 other dudes get onto this airship and shoot down other dudes full of 4 people. And you're all on teams, and you have to work together on the ship to perform various tasks like manning the guns, which are affixed to hard points, or repairing the hard points and the weapons and your engines and hull. And then there's, of course, the captain, who is ostensibly in charge and hollering at you to do things that, if my play experience is any indicator, you will ignore and just camp the balloon while our hull gets blown up. But yeah, it's actually fun. I can recommend it in good conscience and say this is a fun game that I worked on.
It's the most fun. Like, once I was playing during the beta with Adam, and he's like in Storm Grenadier, and he's clanny and old school like I kind of am. So once the 2 of us were on a ship together, that ship was motherfucking invincible.
Oh yeah, you guys probably
because he'd just be like, starboard guns, broadside coming, 3, 2, and
because everyone in every other ship was camping the balloon or whatever.
Yeah, they were all just hammering away.
Right,
on the
whereas
balloon.
if you have 2 people working together, well, forget it.
Yeah,
You're gonna
but
crush it.
we see ships now in game with like really experienced players, and they are really into it. They're talking about meta strategy. We added this item. It was like a harpoon gun, and you can harpoon ships and like drag them into you. And
like attractive
nobody
beams.
used it. Everybody was like, "What is this even
what,
for?"
dude?
Like,
the harpoon gun plus the flamethrower?
well, okay. What I will
because
say
you harpoon them, then they can't get you. It's really easy to shoot them now.
This was our thought initially. We were like, well, you just harpoon them and you drag them in for the flamethrower. We almost like you could very easily see how you would use it on the ships with 2 guns on the same side.
Yep.
We were like, this will be great. What we didn't expect was there's a ship with 2 guns on the very front, and the new strategy is to put 2 harpoons up there and harpoon somebody at you and drag them into you at such speed that you careen right through them and destroy them with your ship.
That is
it really?
awesome.
You like
It's amazing.
You can
like-
ram.
Oh, so you put in ramming damage, which is a factor of speed and the size of your ship, and it just so happened that the speed of the harpoon pull added with it just worked out that way.
Yeah. So
you didn't put it in there on purpose.
The ship is the Pyramidion, which is a very fast ship to begin with, and so you increase the speed at which you're traveling by like pulling the other ship into you. You effectively double your collision damage, and in doing so, you just barrel right through them. So you start on broadsides to weaken like their components, and then you just careen into them with these harpoons. It was brilliant.
actually
I love
great.
it.
I mean, I don't think you even want to check to make sure whether those physics are accurate, right? It's
They
better
all-
to.
I will say, actually, our guy, Cesare Bankston, who did all of the flight and collision models, they're incredibly well modeled. The flight model is extremely physics-based. So the distance that your engines are away from the center of the ship, for example, determines your rotation speed. It determines how fast you can turn because he's applying torque in that way. It's really cool. He actually wrote a biplane flight model too.
And
That's
almost
super
no one will
accurate.
appreciate it.
So who's writing the boarding engine?
Oh, I'm glad you should ask about that because it's time for me to kill you.
we've made this joke before.
I think it's that you. I think part of your success, in my opinion, is that you guys, because I seem to know a lot of people at this company somehow, are doing the opposite of what the Tribes 2 team did. You have a forum, you look at what your people, like the people playing your game, say, but then you make your own decisions based on that feedback instead of doing what they ask.
This is the only way to make a game, and I said this in another place, and I was actually pretty happy with this analogy. Is that if you have a room full of smoke, your players will ask you to put in a fan to blow away the smoke. What you actually want to do is put out the fire. And so when people ask us for things, we like to put them through a filter of like, well, what problem are they attempting to solve with this, and how can we affect that more positively or at a more fundamental level? And I'm really happy with the work that we've done in that regard. A lot of people are very right about a lot of things. So, for example, the ability to form a crew before you enter into matchmaking or before you enter into a match.
NS2
that
has
is
that
important.
problem. You get in the game. It starts. No one's joined the server yet because they're still loading the map, and the game starts, and no one wants to get in the comm chair.
Counter-Strike even has that problem in pubby games.
Yeah.
So we're actively looking at that. We just implemented, and by the time this airs, it will be out. But Monday coming up, we have a big patch that will do automatic rematch. So when you're done with a game, it'll put you into a new game on a new map with the same people, and that's not done yet. And so, it'll be in on Monday. I'm really excited about it. And of course, we're going to be making fixes to spectator mode and the like to better support tournament casting, and we're going to get clan support in the near future as well. So,
All right.
yeah, we're really excited about, we're going to try to make this game more competitive, I think, and cater to that community. It should be really cool.
That's a good community. That community is on the upswing lately.
Absolutely.
NS has been rocking it.
It is.
I mean, you saw the League of Legends thing at PAX.
Yeah,
that was like
Dota,
more
man.
professional than that fake tournament in the Wizard.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's becoming a crowded space. There's a lot of people going for it, but I think everyone's going for it because the pie is getting bigger, right? So you might feel like, well, how are anyone going to care about my game being competitive when everyone's playing all these MOBAs and FPSs and such? Well, there's a whole lot of people looking for games to watch. There's no hockey.
No hockey, watch Guns instead.
That's right.
But no, I mean, and it's
Twitch TV is huge.
no,
right?
absolutely, and we have an official channel on Twitch, and we're trying to court some casters on Twitch. I'm really excited about getting more into this space. And on the topic of MOBAs, how do you guys feel about
I
MOBAs?
think
You wanna
MOBAs
talk
are
about
stupid. I'm going to be honest.
Okay, I think the fundamental game of a MOBA, right? The 5-on-5 sort of thing. It has something going on there. It's fun. I kind of want to
Because
play
it's
it.
kind of like a versus tower defense.
But the
slash-
reality of what every implementation is, some are better than others. Like League of Legends is better than Dota because it doesn't have the nonsense denying bullshit.
Heroes of New
right?
Earth is the bottom.
Right. But they're all, fun. It's like they get the details wrong. And I feel like if I made a MOBA, I could keep the same fundamental thing, game idea of, 5-on-5, control one guy on this map. but it would but it would be good because there wouldn't be any bullshit.
Well, this gets into the same thing. I mean, in my opinion, MOBAs steer wrong in that the original game had a lot of emergent properties that people who, it had a really strong community around it. So people would do these emergent things like the last hitting because that was just the limitation of this mod. But then when they like canonized those emergent behaviors into legit game mechanics instead of addressing them in a different way, that is where these games fall flat.
So, judging by the way you even asked that question, I get the feeling you are also anti-MOBA.
Let me preface this by saying that it is my hope to someday compose a rap song so that I can use the line "last hits like MOBAs." Moving on.
There is the Dota, the na 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 Dota.
MOBAs represent a really interesting case study for me because it's exactly what you said. It's the emergent properties and how they've translated into codified, formalized rule sets, and I think you're dead on with last hits. I think the concept of last hit, and you see this in other games too. So I mentioned I was playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, the points you get from killing enemies is weighted extremely heavily in your favor if you get the last hit. Even if you didn't contribute most of the damage, you get that last hit. You get an insane amount of experience points.
See,
for
and
it.
the thing
and
is,
that is I consider that a weak design. I think.
Well, I think it's a symptom of a greater problem.
Yeah,
those mechanics are there, in my opinion. I can use a better lexicon now because I've read that characteristics of games book that we learned about at PAX Dev. But that these games, they have these skill components that require you to master all of these sort of individual fiddly bits because that's the only way to give these games enough strategic and tactical and execution depth to make them appeal to competitive players because there's an extremely high return on investment for learning those skills. But the problem for me is that those skills that these games make you learn are not analogous to what the game is about at all. The game appears to be about one thing, but really it's about the worst parts of StarCraft.
Well, I think, and last hitting, right? It's like, well, why is last hitting a thing? Last hitting a thing has always been in video games. It's if you kill the guy, you get the frag. In Quake, if you're the one who kills the guy with your rocket, even if the other guy did 99 of the damage, you are the one who gets the frag.
Dude, Crystal
on your
Warriors
score,
on the
right?
Game Gear.
And the reason for this, right? Why is the reason that every game does this? This is the reason because we need to add the code that says frag +1 has to be somewhere. Where do we put it? We put it in the on death function. Right? So when someone dies, that's when someone gets a frag. So in the on death function, right? How do we had to also have access to the person to give this frag to? Well, we don't, what are we going to do? At that moment when someone dies, have a running tally of all the damage that's been done to them and figure out, no one was going to do that, especially not way back in like a mud.
Well, certainly.
Right?
That's
carried over till the present day and to where it's become sort of just gaming common sense in a way, even though it's not common sense, but to where no one would think to do it differently.
Mass Effect 3 does accumulate damage counters, though, for everybody, and experience is divvied up, but the weighting function is my objection in this case, I think. And I'll also preface this by saying that I'm more in line with Dave Serlin, for example, who's doing a lot of work for Capcom right now on balancing the old school fighting. He used to be an active member in the fighting game community, but he and I suffer from the same problem in that we're
slow
both
hands.
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
me too.
neither of us are particularly good at execution, and we don't necessarily consider that to be the core component of the game.
So you can play Yomi. Well,
I love
here's
playing
the problem.
Yomi.
If you remove those components, then you get to the situation where all games break down pretty rapidly, and return on investment of skill has to eventually have an end game that is within the reach of players. MOBAs have these shitty fiddly mechanics because that's the only way to keep a perfect end game out of the grasp of a player who's dedicated to solving the game.
I think to a degree, I would actually rather make a good game that, make a good game every 2 years. If that's the alternative, I would rather make a good game
that is
every
why
2
I
years.
put so much stock in German board games, because we solve every game we play eventually. I mean, Settlers I'm done with Settlers, but you know what?
Every time
it was way fun while I was playing it, and when I was done with it, I played a different game.
And you look at board games, and constantly there are new ones coming out that are all awesome in some way. It's like, Settlers is no good anymore. Where did this Eclipse thing come from?
Yeah.
Suddenly, this huge hit game selling out multiple editions.
Though I do still play Counter-Strike, and I like it for all the meta reasons that these kids like MOBAs. So I can't pretend that I'm immune to the desire to see a great return on investment of my.
But at least that the that stuff in Counter-Strike makes sense. right?
The actions are analogous.
Right, the actions are analogous to what you're trying to do. I mean, in Street Fighter, they make mostly sense, but not as much sense as Counter-Strike. And in Dota, they make even less sense. Shoot your own guys to win.
I think Soul Calibur has a better
Soul
analogy
Calibur has the
than
best
Street
analogy
Fighter.
of any real-time fighting game that I have played, ever.
Well, Bushido Blade.
No.
Wow, taking it back. I haven't even heard the words Bushido
Rim
Blade
loves
since I was
Bushido
in
Blade.
high school.
I was not good at Bushido Blade, but I was better than all my friends.
It was an SNK game. Right? I'm thinking of the right game, right? That was an SNK
It was
game.
the realistic
the
game.
3D PlayStation game where when you hit someone, they were dead, period.
Wrong game. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No,
No,
you're
Bushido Blade
thinking
is a game.
Samurai Showdown.
So it's like,
thinking
I've got
about
a
Samurai
sword
Showdown,
and you've
thank
got a
you.
hammer. If I hit you with the sword, maybe you're dead. Or you're almost dead.
Or you're wounded at best. and you
Around
start
last
limping
like
around
a few
the
seconds.
ring.
Like, ready, go. Someone's dead. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Anyway.
It was awesome. I love those games.
But yeah, now I'm just looking forward to my Strike Suit Zero Kickstarter coming through.
I
I really like just sometimes, man, like especially working in games now and having to actually make game design decisions. Some days I just like to come home and shoot other spaceships in a spaceship. That's just the thing I like to do. And Strike Suit Zero looks like it's going to be a blast. And even if it's just like to a degree, what I've always wanted was sort of like a free space kind of game with like Newtonian physics where you could.
No.
Nobody's made a free space game in so long.
No,
I would,
know.
I would, if somehow Disney made a new TIE Fighter game happen that was a free space shooter,
Whoa, Disney.
I
make a
would-
TIE Fighter.
I would probably back the highest level of whatever that
I don't think
Kickstarter
Disney
was.
needs to kickstart anything. They got money.
Well, but like as a principle, I absolutely appreciate it. But like, I really, you remember that Sylphid game that came out for the Xbox 360 that was made by Square Enix?
I didn't play it, but I know
Oh my God, it was
exists.
silly. It was silly as shit. It was like anime spaceships. And
Ah.
yeah, it was just really dumb and flashy. And like, I loved it. I loved the shit out of it. I must have played it for like 60 hours
Hey,
because
I mean,
it was just like,
to this day,
There's someone
I love
listening right now
Battle
who's like,
Balls.
yeah, they're the biggest. Like, they're like, oh my God, someone else played.
right? Like seriously. And he's like, yeah, the voice acting was awful.
And now he's listening to this and saying, oh my God, it's me. They're talking about me.
Interestingly, when we used to do game jams at work, where like every Friday at the last Friday of the month, we would all sit down and a programmer would pair off with an artist, and you would come up with your idea for a game, and then we would vet these ideas and see if anything good came out. And I am not a creative person by any means. I'm just not. And so I got paired with John Lynn, and John was like, like, what games do you like? And I was like, well, you remember Sylphid from the PC in like 1983? I like that. I also kind of liked Rez. And so I made this like Rez-like Sylphid game that used the music on your hard drive to create like waveforms and enemy patterns and stuff.
Ah.
So that was the extent
I'm
of
pretty
my
sure that
was the extent of my
original.
game
I'm pretty
design.
sure the original Sylphid wasn't that like for more systems than like any game ever.
Well, yeah, that was
Like there was a web
ridiculous.
page I went to once that had like samples from like every sound card ever, and like the only game that they could find that they could actually test on all these different sound cards through the generations was like the original Sylphid. I'm pretty sure it was the original Sylphid. I'll have to check that out.
It would make sense,
Yeah,
actually.
it was like
very
Commodore
popular at the time.
Sylphid, Atari Sylphid, and I was like, what?
Might have made it all the way up to the Sound Blaster era.
I remember when I got my dad. He wouldn't buy me more RAM, but he bought me a Sound Blaster AWE 32, Advanced Wave Effects. The only benefit was MIDI was a little bit better.
Setting your blaster environment variables.
You realize, that thing needed 2 IRQs.
Yeah, that was serious business back then, man. Not to be trifled with.
Yeah, high
Remember
level
those
ones?
games that you had to reboot DOS into real mode?
Oh shit! Yeah, I made boot discs because SimCity 2000 would not play on my computer.
I only needed boot disc for the MechWarrior 2.
Oh, and
I
originally,
only
Doom.
freaking had to do that until I got 16 megs of RAM. That
Until I
didn't need boot disc
upgraded
anymore.
my RAM, I could not play Doom if I booted the computer legit.
I had 8 megs of RAM, so I could
booted
always
to,
play Doom.
I'd hold F5 to boot to like raw DOS, and then I would type mouse to load my mouse driver, hi mem maker, all that stuff, and then I would start Doom.
Not only that, but because I had 8 megs of RAM and a quad speed CD-ROM, I could install Doom and Doom 2 in under a minute. So I could just keep whenever I needed more space.
CD-ROM.
Whenever I
Doom-
needed more space, I could delete it.
Doom
install
came
something
on
else.
a fucking disc.
I had a
shipped
CD-ROM
on
that
a-
had Doom 2 and Doom.
That
Ultimate.
maybe at the time he had to put into a plastic caddy to load into his CD drive. You don't know. It's
No, the
possible.
CD drive was quad speed, bitches.
Oh, so by that time, yeah, you're right.
That's
The
why
only
I said Doom installed, like, boom, it's installed.
Scott, I bought the Doom 2 shareware like when Doom 2 came out. And then I'd use like wadded indie hack to make my own maps.
Good job.
I'm very proud of myself.
Those were the days.
They were. So what are you into besides technology and games that you are known for?
Well, I live with a lot of...
I know you were a nerd of many colors.
Yeah, I live with several illustrators, and many of whom do comics, and so I end up reading a lot of comics, or as to say, comics end up piling up next to my desk.
That sounds like me.
I should read them. I think that's the way I want to put it.
What's piled up next to your desk right now?
Oh God, the worst part is Anant will periodically come into my room and just be like, "Hey, we got these in the mail. You should read one of these." And so I will say,
if Anant is giving it to you, it's going to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you put it on the pile of everything else that's good.
Particularly,
I just got my Daisy Cutter Kickstarter. I haven't even read it at all.
I saw that. That looks so good.
Yeah, it does look good.
I will say that I just finished up King City by Brandon Graham. King City was originally a Tokyo Pop property. They published the first book. It didn't take off, and then so they canned it. And so it sat.
Right. A lot of those people have found other places.
Yeah,
to go.
it sat in purgatory for like several years, but recently the omnibus got published. So it's this amazing, large hardcover compilation of all the King City comics, and it is just the most incredible, off the wall, urban decay. Like, I highly recommend it. I'm not going to do it justice summarizing it because this is sadly not my forte, but I do recommend everybody grab at least the first King City volume, if not the whole hardcover, and just give it a read because it's a blast. I love it.
Mm-hmm. How about in terms of movies, musics, and
Did you see Wreck-It Ralph?
I did see Wreck-It Ralph.
Did you like? Because I liked it because it Roger Rabbited in that all the plot was like new characters and the old characters were just cameos. They weren't actually.
Absolutely.
Like Bowser was not the villain.
No, it nails what a video game movie sort of needs to be, right? Especially because you're absolutely right in your analogy.
So did you notice that Sandy Fox did one of the fucking voices and AKB48 did the theme to Sugar Rush?
Well, I did notice AKB48. I didn't notice Sandy Fox.
Yeah, Sandy Fox. I don't even know what voice he did. She was credited. I was like, Sandy Fox? I still haven't looked up.
Yeah, wait a minute. I didn't realize that.
It's Rim's favorite. The only thing that can make Rim go crazier is if it was like a 2-mix opener.
I was just watching old anime openers from the 90s.
Getting some Megumi Hayashibara into your diet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 2-mix, man. Did
2-Mix
they do Rhythm Emotion? Was that 2-Mix?
The White Revolution was that music video that everyone thought was an anime, but it was just a music video.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was watching that first day at Anime Club.
I watched that. No, 2-Mix. I saw in high school. Me and Ken found it. We had this MPEG file, but that shit was hard to play back in the day.
So when you were at that first Anime Club meeting in 2000, you'd already seen that.
Scott, when I came to that Anime Club meeting, I already knew who 2-Mix was. I knew White Reflection, and I had seen easily half the anime I've seen in my entire life already.
High school, man. It's just how it was.
Scott, I had already seen like most of Slayers, like Escaflowne. Ava's the only thing I hadn't actually watched.
So, okay, no lie, I have this problem. Whereas generally, when we discuss the media that I've consumed, generally there are two different categories. And it's like a Venn diagram in which the circles don't touch. It's like good media and shit that I've accidentally seen. And this absolutely applied to me in anime in college as well, or high school as well. So I ended up with these fan subs of like Tenshi ni Narumon, which is like this like weird, bubbly, sort of just awkward story about this angel that falls to earth and then falls in love with a dude who's all tsundere about it.
I've never heard of this. It's got a Anime News Network.
Yeah. It's Tenshi ni Narumon is the name of it. It's patently bad.
I asked because Luke liked it. I ended up seeing some of Mine.
What? I completely forgot there was a show called that. I have no idea what it's about.
Really? It has that Hajime Shimima show, whatever, opening song. If you hear that song, you'll be like, oh,
I probably will. How about Alien 9?
Oh,
wow, taking it back. That was the one with the creepy hats, right?
Creepy hats.
Yeah.
I read that.
And the whole plot was in the closer of the last episode.
Yeah, we all went to like eat dinner, and Gabby was in the other room watching. Like we watched the end of the show, and then we went to eat dinner.
We're playing a board game,
and Gabby was watching the closing credits, and suddenly she's like, "Oh my god!"
They just like kill everyone in the closing credits of the last episode.
All right, she is credited in Wreck-It Ralph with quote additional voices.
Oh, we got burned.
Oh,
ouch!
Nothing, no information.
Background characters.
But no,
need some money.
Wreck-It Ralph was like definitely one of the best things to happen this year, and we got Looper this year. So, and Looper, man, I take a lot of shit for liking Looper as much as I did.
I haven't seen either one. So
okay, Looper might not have been. My thing about Looper is like even if it wasn't perfect, I think it represents something important. It's like we can have these high concept movies come into Hollywood and do very well. like just as a template. That's like a positive thing that I want to see more of, right?
Mm.
I want to see, even if Prometheus wasn't perfect, I want to see more Prometheus. I want to see more Looper. Like these are things that I like. I like that I can go to the movies and see good sci-fi again.
I heard though that the new Bond movie is really good and makes up for the second to most recent Bond movie.
I haven't seen either one. I
Many
only
people-
saw Casino Royale.
I've seen a lot of
last one.
people who actually like Bond, like they know Bond, and they call this their second or third favorite Bond ever.
Well, I've seen every Bond movie up to Casino Royale. I just
Casino
haven't
Royale
seen the
is
two newest
really good.
ones.
It
was
problem,
okay.
The only problem with Casino Royale, in my opinion, is that Casino Royale is the derpiest Bond plot. Like it's too close to the original book and all of its derpiness.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, I
We're
wasn't
talking about the
super-
old Casino Royale?
No, with like what, Woody Allen or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, okay. There was a new one. Oh, I see. This is what I mean about this Venn diagram, man. It's real. My Venn diagram.
Wait, so
of
what was the
media is
last
real.
James Bond movie you've seen?
It was that one where like it's like the software mogul tries to shoot down North America with a space laser.
So what, Pierce
GoldenEye?
Brosnan?
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan one.
Pretty sure
It
that's
wasn't GoldenEye.
No?
it was a Pierce Brosnan one.
I hated Pierce Brosnan's Bond movies. He was an okay Bond, but his movies were, I just
Wasn't
didn't
Pierce
like him.
Brosnan in GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only good Bond movie he was in. He was in a bunch more.
I'm pretty sure
my
GoldenEye.
God, maybe it was GoldenEye.
Pretty sure
Maybe-
GoldenEye is about a space laser on a
yeah,
satellite.
wait, okay, maybe I'm thinking about
And
Dr.
there's the
No,
weird-
actually.
Dr. No
No,
is about
I like
a
Dr. No.
Dr.
Yeah,
No is
Dr.
about
was
a
great.
rocket.
But this was definitely a Pierce Brosnan one. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
Dr.
it was
No is
GoldenEye.
Dr.
Maybe
No
I'm
with
an
Sean
idiot.
Connery is the first Bond movie ever. It's about a rocket.
Yeah, I know. That was awesome.
It
Dr.
is.
No
Dr.
from
No is
Russia with
excellent.
Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, which I really like
Thunderball's the
Thunderball.
best.
Yeah.
You only live twice on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Diamonds are forever. Live and let die. The man with the golden gun. The
Yeah,
spy
you
who
don't have
loved
to go
me.
over the whole list here.
Moonraker.
Moonraker is the corniest, but I like it anyway.
Oh, because it gave us the Moonraker laser.
Of course.
It was The World Is Not Enough. That was the one.
Oh,
that was
that
the last
one?
one that I'd seen was The World Is
Oh,
Not
that was
Enough.
like at the peak of everything I hated about Bond.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the last one. So like after that, I was like, well, we're done. Like we're done with Bond for a while.
Yeah. All right. What else?
So
have we got?
now I have to see Skyfall, though. I hear it's very good.
Well, you should probably see Casino Royale first.
Okay. Yeah.
It has one of the better opening credits I've ever seen in a movie theater. If that's worth anything.
How long have we gone here?
We can keep going. We've gone on for 46 minutes.
Do we want
Not
to do anything
bad.
else? We got?
Yeah. I mean, ask me anything.
Let's
I am
end
a
it.
Conrad. Ask me anything.
All right. If you had to give an over-under, how many times have you ejaculated in your entire life?
It's
Man,
gonna be
okay,
a big
if there's
number.
365 days in a year.
Yeah.
and-
Now you have to think back to the day when that started happening.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
But
because
there's
I
a
was,
graph. It's got to be weighted. There's probably way more in the days of discovery.
Well, it was weird
It's
because I
probably more in
started
the winter.
masturbating before I could ejaculate. So
Whoa,
like
does
now
that
this is a
count?
weird question. This
Ah.
is the
That
number
does
of
happen.
orgasms.
I saw a video of a baby in the womb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh yikes! I mean, it makes sense. All the wiring is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Okay, so let's say
This is called kids at home with science. This is called a Fermi calculation. You're attempting to make a broad, generalized guess based on extremely estimated numbers.
So if let's say 15, I'm 27, so 12 years, 365 days in a year. Let's say that there's an average of one time a day. Somebody can do the math with a calculator because I'm not very good at large number multiplication, but it basically comes down to 12 times 365.
It's not too bad.
No, not bad at all.
I try really hard, you guys. Working that bone.
Jerking that gherkin.
Okay, speaking of shitty anime, have you guys ever seen Green Green?
I never
Green
even heard of
Green.
Green Green.
It is awful. It was this
Well,
it was this shit anime.
Why
based
did
on this-
jerking off every day remind you of Green Green?
Because in the opening scene of the first episode, there is a man who introduces himself in this really dramatic way by proclaiming that he's masturbated at over 100 strokes a minute and shows his blistered hands.
What the fuck?
That's the image of me you should have
this
right
is
now.
recent. This is like 2002.
Yeah, I watched
Why-
this in college.
What? How come we didn't know about
My
it
freshman
then?
year of college, I watched it.
We were
used to-
there.
No, I
Hey,
know.
a whole
every-
bunch of girls without shirts on. One's holding a cactus, and they're all drinking milk.
Yeah, no, this
come I'm
is
not
Green
watching
Green.
this?
Okay, so in college, my freshman year of college, we used to every night we would get Gracie's takeout food, and then we would watch
Takeout,
the
whoa.
worst anime we could find.
Yeah,
Now, mind
remember, Scott? You could fill that. You could fill that tray with
Oh,
as
right.
much
The
food.
white styrofoam tray.
Yeah, but you had to be able to close it, or they wouldn't let you walk out with it.
Which what I always ended up like half of the time we did this, I would always end up taking an entire styrofoam tray full of waffle crisps.
Why didn't you hide a bunch of styrofoam trays in the safety barrel? You probably could have gotten.
Oh God, safety barrel.
Well, I remember when I moved out of RIT and I looked in my dorm and I realized I had like 40 Gracie's glasses and like a bucket full of silverware.
Dude, all of that silverware, we still probably have some
I
of it.
have several Gracie's forks and knives.
Okay, like I'm not one to be turned on by like, hentai and such, right? And animated peoples.
Wait, Scott, anytime someone ever says, I'm not X, but
if that situation were to occur in real life, that would be pretty amazing.
Scott, maybe not, because one of these naked girls has a cactus. She looks prepared to use it.
But I really like
They all
milk.
have milk. They're all pretty cute.
I really like milk.
They're all smiling. They're all having a good time. They're not upset or anything.
Yes, at least, what was Daryl Surratt was like, how come they're always crying?
Yeah, these ones are just like, hey, how's it going? It's almost like they're going to play volleyball in the nudist colony or something, which is totally hot.
But Scott, the cactus really worries me.
Hey, you
she
don't know
has
what
it
that
all the
cactus could
time.
be for. It could be for anything.
I wonder if that show is worse than Photon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did a show recently where we started talking about Tenchi Muyo, and I remember that I really, really have fond memories of
You know what my memory of
a
Photon
small
is?
amount of Tenchi Muyo.
Let me tell you my memory of Photon. Going into Media Play, and every time the Photon DVD was always there in the same spot, and it never moved. And I kept seeing it every time I went in there to look through the DVDs, and that's what I remember of Photon.
I remember about Blockbuster, actually. You'd always go into Blockbuster, and every time Ninja Scroll would be in the same place.
Yep, right next to Doom Megalopolis and Harmageddon and Wind of Amnesia.
Fucking Wind of Amnesia.
God. I remember watching that. When I was a little kid, I thought it was the deepest thing ever. I was like, this is amazing. Oh my God. This is society. This is deep. And then at the end, it's like, oh, they're having sex now. Then my mom walks in. I'm like, I swear it wasn't like this until just now. And then there's this moment burned in my brain where just as my mom is like, really? He is like nibbling on her nipple.
Oh, yeah, it gets really into
Well,
it.
she didn't bring a cactus. Of course he's going to nibble if you don't have any cactus protection.
And she's wearing gloves, too, man. She's ready.
She's got gloves on both hands. So
No,
I'm
I
kinda-
know. She's serious about that
She
cactus,
is the cutest of these 4 girls, too.
Man. No, I know.
That hair.
But yeah,
Yes, that's
so
correct.
we watched this. We watched like Midori no Hibi.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I
No,
watched one
it
episode
was-
of that, and I was like,
Is that the one with the puppet hand?
Yes.
Yeah, it was the shit anime tour, man. We watched all the worst stuff. We watched Full Metal Panic, which was good, and then we watched
Oh, it
Full
was
Metal Panic
good-ish.
Fumofu.
Oh.
And that
good
was
God.
not.
That was a trap.
That was a
Fumafu.
travesty, man. That was the bait and
I
switch
watched
of the
one
millennium.
episode of Fumafu.
We watched 2, which was tough.
It's like, hey, remember this thing that was pretty good that you kind of liked?
It was
we're
okay.
Gonna,
Yeah.
We're gonna shit all over
Regular
it.
Full Metal Panic was pretty much a straightforward anime, little school humor and a little robot fighting. And then
Decent plot.
Fumafu was just where'd the robot fighting go?
So, okay, I don't know if I've asked you guys what you all think about Haruhi.
I have
think it's
only seen a
awesome.
few episodes.
Okay.
And they
The
were-
original Haruhi, like the first, like
Yeah,
bit
the
with
very first
plot.
incarnation.
I'm not sure what order to watch them in, but whatever episodes I saw were all right. I would watch more.
I watched them in broadcast order.
Okay.
That's how I watched them. You know what? I think it was a brilliant show. I thought it was really heartwarming. I really, really, really liked it.
Dude, I actually did too, and I get mixed reactions when I ask people about it, which is why I was curious as to what y'all thought about
I'm trying
it.
to. I don't want to speak about it too much because Scott hasn't seen it. I don't
Okay,
really
okay.
want the what it is actually about is what makes that
Pretty
show
sure I know
heartwarming.
what it's already about.
What do you think it's about? This is interesting because Scott recently enlightened us the fact that he's never read or seen Macbeth. So
Okay.
I asked him to explain to me what he thinks Macbeth is about. So Scott,
what's Haruhi about?
what is Haruhi about?
You just changed my entire perspective.
There's some aliens. I know that. And they're real. And this girl who really wants to find the aliens, and everyone around her is actually the aliens, but she doesn't know that.
Okay, there's a meta.
And there's also time traveling.
You're correct, except that there is a meta. You've got like what the Prince of Nothing is about, but not what it's about.
So I don't see the consult, is what you're saying?
No, there's a consult. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
There's a meta. The show is one step deeper than that.
That's good.
And
that
that's
means there's a
why
reason
the-
to watch.
That is why the show is good and worth watching. Unlike Scrap Princess, which was really fun, but
So, sad truth, I know more about Haruhi, which I've only watched a couple episodes, than I know about Macbeth.
This is like the affliction that we all have, like 80s anime watchers. This is what we take home at the
well,
end
look
of
at
the
what
day.
just happened in our group just now. This discussion, the culture of connected people in the world, at least in like the Western industrialized world, is that any conversation no media is sacred. In any group of people, there's going to be the same reaction to if anyone says any name of a movie, no matter how famous, someone in the room will not have seen it, and everyone else goes, "What?
Think about it.
You've never seen
the West Indies?" Think about this, right? A kid was, I say this a lot, I might have said it on the show 10 or 12 times already. A kid was just born just now somewhere in the world, right? Hasn't seen Star Wars, hasn't seen anything ever, hasn't played any video game, hasn't played any, and meanwhile we're making things faster than that kid can possibly even play one game or whatever, right? So yeah, no one starting now and starting actually a long time ago, no one's ever gonna see or hear or play all the things. It's just not gonna, no matter who you find, it's gonna be like, you don't know the whatever. Of course not. It's possible.
We've been discussing this a lot, particularly as we've been watching Adventure Time at my house.
I'm really digging Adventure Time.
I gotta start watching Adventure Time
it.
Pretty soon.
Scott, it's like Venture Brothers.
I know what it's about.
No, but I'm saying first season super fun, but then like once you start to get it and kind of get these
it's all about the
characters,
secret apocalypse of the past.
it's also just like it really grows on you in a way that you wouldn't expect.
It does, but what really interests me is that the inspiration and the template work that these guys are building off of is very, very clear in a lot of cases. And yet they bring their own really unique and distinct voice to this. And so you can say like, well, there's a kid out there who has never seen Star Wars or who maybe will never see Sailor Moon. And to a degree, they have received at least a part of that because they're part of this conversation, I think, that is ongoing. And it's really, I'm not doing a good job of encapsulating this. I'm kind of rambling. I apologize, but it's very cool to see how all of that stuff that we consider really sacred will appear to the next generation of people. I think that's very, very cool. And I'm really happy that we have people like Frederator working on stuff like this because they're doing it in absolutely all the right ways. And I think Wreck-It Ralph is another good example of how to kind of respect the past while creating something for the future.
Did you see that episode that the Adventure Time people put onto this other show on YouTube? It was like,
with Cartoon Hangover, I believe it was called like Awesome Knots or something similar?
No, it wasn't Awesome Knots, but it was basically like these, what the hell was the name of it?
Not Super Jail.
No, that was something else.
I don't even know what that is. I just keep YouTube until recently has recommended me nothing but that He-Man, yeah,
because you've watched that 1,000
and My Little Pony. And lately it's been recommending to me Super Jail.
History.
I wasn't impressed with Super Jail. I just don't think it was my kind of show. I don't think it was my kind of humor. And I'm not even attempting to make a value judgment.
Well, then I won't
regard.
watch it because
it wasn't for me.
We have similar tastes lately. I mean, Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls is phenomenal. And,
it's got some flaws, but we did a show.
It does. And in the context that nothing is perfect, I think that Gravity Falls is very good, And I think it's just good to see all this really good creative work coming to light that's also just very popular and making a lot of money. Because this is what I've always said. I've always said that making a good product is very difficult, but once you've put in the time and you've managed to create something good, pretty much success follows naturally. And so part of what I do at Muse is we all try to focus on that point. We try to make a good game above all else. That's it. This is our one objective. And the last game I made, Creevers, wasn't perfect, but I can very easily now isolate the flaws with, the way I ran the project, the flaws with the way I coded the project, and the flaws with the way that we created the project. And I think that it was like a really necessary speed bump to a degree on the way to Guns of Icarus. And, it's making a good product is the most important part. And I really do think people lose sight of that fact.
The name of that new show is Bravest Warriors. That's the one.
Bravest Warriors. Thank you.
I watched the little thing. It was cute. It was fun.
It was cute. And I
the
mean,
one guy looks like Mega Man.
I think Cartoon Hangover is doing this thing now where you can pitch them anything.
Really?
Yeah. And
I'll pitch you something.
They will like, man.
So get this. I'm kidnapped and put in a dungeon, and there's this dragon.
There's also a ghost.
No, the dragon isn't the ghost. You see the ghost incidental to the dragon. The dragon has the juiciest beehole in town, however. The slimiest, scaliest dick around.
He does.
You should actually let me close this out with a rap segment. Mark
if you're going to close out with a rap segment, you should preempt by pimping yourself. And promoting the things that you would like people to do.
I'm actually not going to do a rap segment. The only rap lyrics I know are both fake rap lyrics and insanely offensive and feature.
Are there any other kind?
Nothing could be worse than when Tycho did that rap about the prostate at PAX.
Prostate rap?
I remember he did it. I don't remember the words.
I have it in my mashup of PAX Prime one year. I'm going to isolate that and make a separate video of it and link to it.
Okay.
It's an insidious clister.
But anyway,
Dick Ballista.
Shamelessly self-promote your things, which
All right,
you have
guys.
already done some of.
My name is Conrad Kreyling. Right now I'm working at Muse Games. I was one of the senior engineers on Guns of Icarus. I was project lead on our last game, Creevers. I did the Johnny Wander website. I am on Johnny Wander, johnnywander.com. You'll probably see a lot more of me in the near future. I have some cool stuff coming up. I'm very excited to share that with you guys.
You should all
soon.
cosplay as Conrad at conventions.
Yes, that's right. It's
not
really
that
easy.
hard.
You just have to not get a haircut and wear a T-shirt that you stole from somebody 2 years ago.
If you need a reference picture, just buy a bottle of what's that stuff?
Oh, that's soju.
Soju. Just buy a bottle of soju.
Buy a bottle of
He's on-
Chamisou Original and take a look at the guy holding it. That's me.
Yep.
Chamisou Original, by the way, is the only soju you should drink. The end. The only. That's the one.
Well, you endorse it. You're on it. That's how
well,
it-
I mean, obviously they pay me the right.
That'd be
so
like if
buy
Billy
it.
D. Williams told you to drink St. Paint. It's not gonna happen.
Man, it's the worst.
Nobody is surprised.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
As long as I wear this, I'm able to cast 3 spells simultaneously.
Remember, this is dangerous, kids, so don't try it at home.
As long as I wear this, I'm able to cast 3 spells